Welcome to Quote and Conquer, the podcast where powerful words meet powerful action. Let's conquer one quote at a time. You don't need more time. You need focused attention, a bigger imagination, and discipline to harness both to reach your full potential. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Quote and Conquer. I'm your host, Joey Walters, the podcast where powerful words meet powerful action. We always say that we need more time, more hours in the day, more space in our schedule to get things accomplished. But the truth is, we already have the time. What we need to weaponize is every second with a focused attention and a bigger imagination because the clock isn't our enemy, wasted focus is. When you master these two things, you stop making excuses and you start living a life that you were born to live and get results. And once you lock this in, every hour of every day becomes something that you can build to reach your full potential. So without further ado, let's get into this week's quote. We are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination by Neville Goddard. Now, this quote to me really exposes that we don't really need more time. It exposes that we really need to have more attention with our time and dream bigger to reach our full potential. So now I want to get in and talk a little bit about Neville. Neville Goddard wasn't a typical motivational guru. He was a mystic. He was born in 1905 in Barbados and moved to New York to chase a career in the arts. However, he entered into a totally different stage, and it was the stage of the mind. He had teachings that were radical for his time, and he taught that your imagination wasn't just about daydreaming, it was the very power that you are operating through. He said that your reality is not more than a physical reflection of your dominant thoughts and feelings. And to Neville, the outer world was never the cause. It was actually the effect of what you were thinking and the attention and the focus that you were putting in every day. So this means that circumstances aren't happening to you, they're happening through you. And if you want to change your life, you don't necessarily have to hustle harder or grind longer. You just have to have a bigger imagination and have more focused attention on what you're doing with your time. But here's the hard part. Most people will never get what they want because they can't hold their attention long enough and they won't stretch their imagination far enough to create what they really want and reach their full potential. So there was a time, where I couldn't hold the vision of the person that I wanted to become. I would wake up with so much motivation, I was fired up, and by 10 a.m., that was all gone. All the flashes of inspiration, all the motivation, I had no staying power. And what the thing was, is that I was playing small. I couldn't see a bigger vision of my imagination because I was boxed into this fear of realism, of shame and guilt and self-sabotage. I was reacting, I wasn't creating. And at that time, my life was in chaos. I was grinding through my entrepreneurial business, my executive job, and going through a very challenging divorce. And I was getting slammed with panic attack after panic attack. Every day I felt like I was one breath away from breaking down and I didn't know what to do. I was sitting there in silence and nobody knew. And every time I wanted to get really, really, really focused on something, my mind would be hijacked by emails and distractions and foods and self-doubt and shame and guilt. And that was my weakness of attention. And then when I did courage up enough imagination to dream about something bigger and that I wanted to achieve and how I wanted to become and reach my full potential, all I did was smash myself with unlimiting, self-limiting beliefs. And it was all about shame, guilt, and that was the root of the problem. And that was my poverty of imagination. The breaking point for me came one night when I had a full panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think straight. My heart was pounding. I had pains in my chest. And right in the middle of that storm, something in my spirit really spoke to me and says, I don't have an anxiety problem. I have an attention problem. And that really hit me because I felt like God was calling out to me because I wasn't really broken. I was just undisciplined on where I put my focus. And I didn't have the imagination big enough to dream. I was playing small. I was starving. That night I made a decision. I was no longer going to play small. No longer going to let distractions rule my life. From that moment, I trained my attention to be like a weapon. And I rebuilt my imagination to think bigger and beyonder. And not that it was so far away, that it was just maybe one phone call away, one action away. And I really started focusing on the habits that I needed to have with my thinking every single day to be the person that I wanted to be. Because I needed to take full responsibility of everything that was happening in my life. I needed to be proud of that I was holding it all together, but I needed to have better attention. Instead of always looking for what was wrong, is like, why was this happening for me? And what can I put my attention on and not get distracted by saying, oh my God, this could happen. Or saying to myself, well, I can't achieve that. There's no way I can come out of this. I put my attention to having a standard and then putting the good habits in place to replace my bad habits and then having the discipline every single day. And with that, I started to visualize what I wanted my life to look like in the morning and at night and dream big and put myself into that state of mind like it was already done. And then I focused on all my attentions every single day. And did I get it right every moment? Absolutely not. I got distracted. I took stock of it. I subtracted what I didn't need to have. And again, to this day, am I 100% perfect? No, because I don't know what perfect is. But what I do know is that when I don't have the right attention towards what I want to achieve, it's not about having the time. It's about what is most important for me to be doing right now to be the person that I want to be, to reach my full potential and create the story that I want to create in my life. And that my past and that my self-sabotage and my shame and guilt, that's just a lie. And so I can dream bigger around that and put towards that those focused actions. And that's what's really separated my life from where I was before to who I was now. And today, I don't have any panic attacks. It's been over 10 plus years where I haven't had a panic attack, no matter what the situation is. And if I have that feeling coming on, I know how to turn it right off and get really focused because it's a lie. Hi, everyone. Quick interruption from the episode. If this is speaking to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification because you don't want to miss out. And share it with someone who may need it. The link is in the episode notes. It only takes a moment and it can change someone's life. I believe in divine timing, and that can put the right message in front of the right person at the right time to make a huge difference. So let's make this happen together. And without further ado, let's get right back in the episode. So here's the truth that most people avoid. Your life is always moving in the direction of your dominant attention and your repeated imagination. And if you only focus on what's wrong, you'll multiply it. If your imagination is only looking at playing small, that's the only way that you will advance. You're going to take small steps or you're never going to make that giant leap, quantum leap. Because here's the shift. You're not lazy. You're not motivated. You've just simply trained your mind to focus on problems or distractions. And you let your imagination shrink into your fears and shame and guilt. But you were born out of power to create more. Your focused attention is your steering wheel. Your imagination is the engine, and discipline is what keeps your hands on the wheel when distractions are trying to pull you off course. So stop saying, I don't know how, or there's no way that I can achieve that. Start believing in yourself, believing in the power of yourself, and taking the steps that you need to do every single day to have the attention of your day on the right things and having a bigger imagination, because you don't need more time. You just need more focused attention and a bigger imagination. And now we're going to get into 5 things that you can do to help shift and live this quote every single day. Okay, the first thing that you need to do is you need to write down 3 goals or outcomes that you want to achieve in the next 90 days. And the one that stands out the most, the one that you really want to achieve, that's the one that you're going to focus on for the next 90 days, that you are going to put all your attention and focus on achieving. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to visualize it at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, before you even pick up your phone and right before you go to sleep. I want you to visualize that you've already achieved this outcome and goal. I want you to do this for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and at night. I want you to think it, feel it, and see it like you're acting the movie of your life, like it's already accomplished. Okay? You need to really, really dive in deep and really make your imagination grow so you can actually feel it, like as if you were sitting down and picturing yourself sitting on a beach and you can feel the breeze. That's how you have to visualize you achieving this outcome and goal. The third thing is you're going to audit your attention. For the next week, I want you to write down, where are you focusing all your attention? Are you scrolling, emailing, complaining, overthinking, wasting time? You need to determine, are you focused your attention on achieving this goal or not? And if you aren't, then you need to cut out that noise and replace that habit and attention with something good that's going to align with that. So the fourth thing I want you to look at doing is imagination rehearsal. So maybe before you go to a big meeting that you have, or maybe a sporting event, I want you to rehearse in your mind yourself performing in that meeting or in that event and achieving everything that you want. This is so powerful. I have done this. Golfers do this all the time. They visualize themselves hitting this perfect shot before they step up and they hit it. I have done this numerous times in my life, especially when I was growing up and playing hockey. I would visualize the game that I was going to play the next day, the night before, and I would visualize me making saves against the team that I was playing, and this works tremendously. So this will help out with your imagination. And the fifth thing is you need to reframe limiting belief questions. So if you get into this state and say, what happens if I fail, or no, I can't do that? Instead of that, say, what happens if I actually crush this? What happens if this actually does happen? You have to reframe your mind. You have to let your imagination run wild in a positive way. And you got to park that fear and push it back down and break the chains of that fear, because you are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. And these 5 steps are going to help you get really, really focused on achieving that vision of what you want to accomplish in the next 90 days. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need to wait for the perfect season, because I don't know what that is. You don't need more time. You need to decide. Decide that your attention is no longer for sale. Decide that your imagination is no longer going to be hijacked by fear, shame, guilt, self-doubt scenarios. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be in the future is not measured in time and years, is measured by your focus and your imagination. Most people will never get there because they never learn to hold their vision, and they never learn to execute the attention and the habits and the standards towards that vision. They let distractions win, they let small thinking win, and they let the clock win. But that's not going to be you, because you're going to train your attention to be unbreakable, and you're going to stretch your imagination until it scares you. And you're going to have the discipline to keep both locked in until life catches up to your vision. And when people see the results, they'll think that it happened overnight. But you and I both know the truth. It happened the moment that you stopped leaking your attention and started owning it and started dreaming bigger to reach your full potential. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got something out of it, and that way you can go and implement it. Remember, I always say don't just hear the words, live them. You only live life once. So, what are you waiting for? The world is yours to conquer.
Definitely running with the soldiers on this one.